Hey, good morning to you.
Yes, good morning here. Well, it's 10 already.
Good to see you. Yeah, I should, instead of asking how are you, I should ask you where are you? Because you are
Hi.
a nomad, and yeah, I can never really be sure where you are, but I know right now you are somewhere where it's morning. You are in Guatemala, right?
Yes, I'm now in Guatemala. In 2 weeks, I'm going to be in San Salvador.
It's hard to keep up with you.
Hard to keep up, yeah. I wouldn't blame you.
But I know now that it's getting winter here where I am in Zurich, Switzerland at the moment. I know that I think a pattern is that you will be somewhere where it's warm. I think you're trying to escape winter, right? Is that correct?
You got it. You got it. Absolutely.
At least
Yeah.
that's at where to find you. And yeah, we will talk about a nomadic lifestyle today. But before we go into the details, let me briefly officially introduce you. So you are Rianna Hijlkema, originally from the Netherlands, but over the last, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's more than 10 years, you have been
12.
12. Wow.
Yes. Crazy, right?
Yeah, it's going fast. You have been living in and traveling to more than 45 countries. Is that number? Yeah, it's an impressive number. And at the same time, you have managed to combine several of your passions into quite an amazing career. You have been a teacher, a school director, an empowerment coach. You are also a postpartum doula, supporting women and their families after childbirth. You're a sleep coach for or consultant for small children. You also run a graphic design business, as I understand. And I'm not claiming that this list is complete because I think you're very creative and you keep adding to the list, but it's really an impressive list. So yeah, uh,
Yeah.
welcome officially to this conversation about many first times, about first times that have kind of taught us something or yeah, inspired us in a specific way. Are you ready?
Beautiful.
Thank
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I love the title of your podcast. I mean, many firsts. This is what we're all going through, right?
Yeah, and I think especially you, right? If we look at all, I mean, the list that I've just kind of mentioned here, where all you have been, what all you have worked in. So definitely someone I believe that can share a lot about first-time experiences that you created and experienced. And maybe to kick us off here, I would like to go back a bit in history in your life and maybe go to the beginning of the nomadic lifestyle, right? I know that as I mentioned, you had a life in the Netherlands, I would say sedentary, right, with a fixed home at that time.
Yes.
But then something happened, and maybe you can take us there. What was it that made you switch to that other lifestyle? And could you maybe also briefly then tell us, or maybe start with that, what is a nomadic lifestyle for you? Because I think there's probably different, interpretations of it out there. So what does it mean for you, and how did it start?
Wow, great questions. A lot of questions. So, a nomadic life for me is that you don't have a home base. So, there are digital nomads out there, but most of them are stuck in one place. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, stuck on a beach on a tropical island.
That's bad, yes.
But they're more on one place. And how I see my nomadic lifestyle is really we're moving we're not staying longer than 2 months. I say we because now the last 7 years I've been traveling with my husband, which is really pleasant to have a buddy next to you. But so we're staying like 4 to 5, 6 weeks sometimes. And right now, actually, we're in a place in Guatemala where we didn't expect to stay longer. But this is really the nomadic lifestyle. Like whenever there is something that keeps us or calls us, and that can be people, that can be culture, that can be the country, the nature, whatever it is. If we feel like we need to stay a little bit longer, we stay a little bit longer. So in this time, this is going to be 2 months when we're going to leave again. But we're also open when we don't feel that we need to be in this place right now to move immediately to the next place. So for me, that's a nomadic lifestyle. Like we go with the flow, we see where it feels good. And yeah, we follow the sun. That's what we try to do. I'm not so good with the cold, so And I mean, if you choose a lifestyle that you don't have a certain place that you have to be, then you choose the warmth, right?
Yeah, I guess so. It also makes it easier with the luggage, I would imagine, right? You don't need to carry.
Yeah,
Oh,
although we do a lot of hiking, and hiking is a lot of times in the colder areas or up in the mountains, so we do have like winter and summer clothes with us. But yeah, that's an add-on stressor for our backpacks.
yeah,
Leaves less stuff for the summer stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
less place. Yeah. So you also asked how it started, and it's really interesting because exactly what you said. Like I was living a life in the Netherlands where I had it all according society standards. Like I had a boyfriend, I had a house, I had a job. I was living not too far away from my family and from my friends, and I had a pretty good life. And it was, and I don't know exactly where it was coming from, but I started waking up in the middle of the night asking myself, like, is this it? I had this thought coming up the whole time, like, okay, I have everything and I'm happy, but I'm happy on a level of a 7. And
Hmm.
I felt there was more to reach. I don't know. I don't want to say that I felt like I had bigger potential or whatever, or and this urge to travel that was in that moment was not there, but I just felt there must be more. I cannot do this for the coming 40, 50 years. What we're doing right now, I felt so stuck. Maybe that was the thing. And right now, I would say my biggest value is freedom. I think back then as well, I just didn't know. I could not put it on what it was. But so night after night, I kept waking up and thinking, is this it? Is this it? Okay, I need to be happy. And like I had friends who wanted to have a boyfriend, who were single for years. I had couples who didn't have the finances to buy a house. There were, all these people around me who wanted what I had, and I had it, and I was not grateful for it somehow. Yeah, I was grateful for it, but I felt there must be more. And I think it's been like 2 weeks that I kept thinking about. And one moment I thought I need to tell this to my then boyfriend, and we had a long conversation about it. And actually, I had kind of the same feeling. Like it felt a bit like we were good, but it felt a bit mundane. Like this feeling like there must be more. And we said, if we want to explore this, we should not stay stuck in this situation. So within 4 weeks, can you imagine? We broke up. We sold the house. He kept the cat that we had. And then like seriously, it's like the universe was trying to push me somewhere, because within those 4 weeks, my boss called me. I was teaching in a school back then. And he said, yeah, I know I promised you a contract for the next school year, but actually we have no budget for that. And you were the last teacher who came in, so you're the first one who's out. And so within 4 weeks, I had no boyfriend, no house, no job. And it's really weird because of course I was sad of everything that suddenly was gone, but I also had like this inner knowing, like, and this inner voice in me, like, okay, so what's next? Now it's up to you. There's nobody holding you back. There's no job, no boyfriend, no house. Nothing is holding you back to do whatever you want to do. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. That was the thing. I knew that, is this it? There was no answer for it yet for me. And then, sounds really random, but I was scrolling, and this is, I think, how life goes. I was scrolling on Facebook, and I saw an advertisement to be an au pair, and I clicked on it. And then the first advertisement, or the first family that popped up, was a Dutch family living in Paris with 3 young children, 2, 4, and 6 years old. And they were looking for an au pair for 3 months for the summer. And this, what I'm talking about, this was in June. And I was like, 3 months living in Paris. Never been there. Could be fun, right? So I decided to have a call with them. We hit off really well, and she said, "You're more than welcome." And I was like, "I'm coming." So I packed all the stuff that I still had, because everything was with the house. He kept most of the stuff. Put everything in a car, and before I drove to Paris, I had like a goodbye party. And this is really one of those moments that I'm now looking back, and it was really essential what happened that evening, because so I had this goodbye party. My friends, my family were there, and then one of my friends came to me and she said, "So you told everybody that you're gonna go for 3 months to Paris, but what if you don't like it?" And I said to her, "But then I come back." That was so weird to me. And I think this, now thinking back, this is one of the first moments that I broke with like what people expect from me and what I want. And that was one of the moments that I decided, because also with the breakup and the house selling and everything, people were really, I don't want to say confused, because they're like, you're in a good relationship and you give everything up for something that you don't even know what you want. Like, you're sleeping on the couch of a friend, you have nothing, and this is what you wanted. Well, you had it all. But I had this longing for something, and now I'm thinking back, that was freedom, definitely. And so when she asked that, that was really a profound moment for me. Like, yeah, I decide if it makes me happy, I stay. If it doesn't make me happy, I'll come back and I figure out something else. And so that first day when I arrived in Paris, so this was like, yeah, more or less 4 weeks after we broke up and everything happened. I arrived in Paris, and I remember I was standing there on the bridge overlooking the Seine, people walking behind me. And I was like, should I cry now? Because I have nothing anymore. But actually, I feel really happy. And I was so confusing. And that day on that bridge, I made a promise to myself, from now on, I'm only going to do things that make me happy. And this is what I've been doing in the past 12 years, making decisions. And this is what I said with the travel as well. If we're in a place that doesn't feel good for either one of us, we're gone. It's not worth it. It's not worth to spend our time in places or with people or doing things that are not making us happy. Because in the end, this is the ultimate, for me, this is the ultimate thing that we are chasing, is a certain feeling. And for everybody, that feeling is different. What we do most of the time is chasing things, stuff we want to have. Are we chasing people that we feel like they're important in our life and they need to stay in our life and they need to go by a certain way? Are we chasing a job? Are we chasing? But what I've really figured out that moment in Paris is that I need to start chasing the feeling that's the most important to me. And to me, that is happiness. And feelings can be calm, can be trust, can be peace, whatever it is. But chasing that is really interesting, because once you do that, it's not attached to wherever you are, with whoever you are, and whatever you're doing. And I think this is also how my whole life got shaped and formed, because it was the whole time coming back. Does it make me happy? Yeah. I keep going. No, change. And I think this is really my guidance of moving through life. And that's also caused me to not stay in one place yet, and has caused me, the only consistent thing is my husband, to be honest. Even my stuff is changing, and even my jobs, my businesses, and it's beautiful, and I really love it. I really love it. It really honestly makes me happy, and I jump out of bed each morning feeling excited for the new day to come. And yeah, that's just an amazing feeling.
Yeah, you have this energy about you. I can literally see it in your face. And as you're talking, it was like a film listening to you. I was taken to that bridge across the Seine.
Oh,
Really,
yeah.
and a lot of wisdom already in what you've just shared in these first few minutes. Very beautiful. Now, there's a lot to follow up on, I believe, or to dig a bit deeper. So one thing you mentioned is that, if things do not make us happy or make you happy, you can move on to the next thing, right? So would you say that, there's still moments, obviously, that may not feel totally happy, but then you take it in your own hands and control to decide what's next. Now, does that sometimes also maybe create some, anxiety is maybe a bit too strong, but do you feel like there's a lot of pace in what you do? Or do you also find calmness in all, I guess you mentioned 2 months of where you stay. So you kind of are probably often thinking about where next, or does that take up a lot of your time, and how does that feel? Does that feel free really in that sense? I would be curious about that.
Wow, that's really beautiful. And it's a great catch. It's really a thing that I've been talking a lot with my husband about lately, that we are really, always been this future focused. And I think in a way that's really healthy, because there are people staying stuck in the past, and that's not moving you forward. I really want to be making the most of the time that I have. And the calm part, we really find that in nature. So what we've been doing in the last couple of years is constructing a life where we work from Monday till Thursday, because we love it. And then Friday till Sunday, those are the times that we either move to another place or we're in nature and we're hiking. And this is really where I find the calm and the peace and the inner presence.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really important to balance that out. And I do feel it. If we skip a weekend, or like a couple of weekends ago, he was sick and I was like, oh, do I go alone? No, it's okay. And I really feel this disbalance immediately. And I think it's really important to have both.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do have this calling of future in the sense of like growing and evolving and moving on. And I know there are some people who ask me like, what are you running away from? People sometimes think that I'm running away from things. I've never seen it like this. I really feel like I'm running towards something, and I'm running towards things that light me up. I'm running towards places where I want to be, and I'm running towards the next version of me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's also, and it's not that I'm not satisfied with who I am right now, but I do believe that we all have a lot of potential in us. And if we start, I've tried a lot of things over the past years, and it sounds really impressive, all the businesses. Half of them, no, not of the half of the ones that you said now, but there are businesses that you didn't mention that failed like greatly, which is fine, because this has been my process of like, oh, that's not my direction. Oh, that's not my direction. Okay, here I feel good. How can I expand this in a more aligned way? Because it's like, those moments in life that you feel like everything and everybody is against you. It's like you're walking in a forest and you're banging across every tree, and then you trying to find your path. Well, the path is right next to you. But we sometimes don't see it because we're so focused on this path we are on now. And I'm really trying, and that's part of my future focused like vision that I have, like trying to see where the path is and where the alignment is. And it comes again back to what I said. I chase this feeling of happiness. So if I'm banging against all the trees the whole time, I know I'm not in alignment. And life is hard and struggling and challenging. And it's really hard to move forward in this way. While if you take a step back, like I do in nature, and coming back to the present and like, oh, wait a minute, the path is there. I'm on the wrong one. And it's like this, this balance the whole time. And yeah, this is freedom to me. Freedom to be where I want to be in that moment. And I feel like, if you look back in your own life, like 2 years ago, you had different needs than you have today, and you will have in the future different needs as well. So I don't want to say that this is going to be my lifestyle forever. Right now it is. It feels great. And if you would now put me in a house and keep me stuck there for a year, I would feel really, really constrained. And this would really damage my value of freedom. And now I find freedom in this travel life and moving. And who knows, in a couple of years, I find freedom in other things, in maybe being in one place. And I don't know. So I'm super future focused, but I'm not stuck to anything that I tell myself to be or to do right now. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And somehow I get the impression that still, I mean, we know that, I think we hear that a lot, that we need both, right? We need routine, but we also need growth. And you're bringing in some routine by, for example, taking these weekends in nature if you can. So that's probably something like a bit of a routine that you would have. And you also said moving now several times. And I could imagine that then when you're in nature, especially, you're probably literally moving also your body, right? Like physically, and you're relocating a lot. So you are, I just think when we move our bodies, it helps us also, with emotions, with our mind. So is that what you're experiencing with that as well?
Absolutely. I would tell anybody who feels stuck in their situation, their place, go move, literally. And if you can, pack your stuff and move. And it doesn't have to be that far. It can be just moving to another street, or and if you're not capable of doing that, just moving your body, because they've done a lot of research that all the traumatic experience, challenges, all the difficulties are getting stuck in our body, and they stay there until we move our body and let everything breathe and go. And this is so profound. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. Is there, what would you say have been main lessons, or one of, yeah, you pick one maybe, that that this lifestyle has, taught you? Is there something that you see in terms of personal growth that you really feel has made a big difference for you?
Well, one of the biggest things was figuring out who I am and what I want, because as we grow up, everybody around us, our parents, our teachers, everybody has an idea of who we are. And a lot of times we take on these patterns and these stories, and we grow up with this. And this is what I've done. And this is why I ended up thinking that if I'm in a relationship and I have a house and I have a job and I have everything that everybody always talking about, I'm going to be happy. And yes, everybody around me was happy for me, but I was not happy. And I think breaking free from that, and again, changing environment is really healthy for that, because you suddenly being put in a situation where you're uncomfortable, where it's not familiar, and you have to find things, because this is what our brain wants, and this is what we all want. We want to feel comfortable, and we can do that by having things around us that are familiar. So you need to recreate that. And you were just talking about habits. Our routines. I have a lot of routines in my life that no matter where I am, they are the same. Like I wake up in the morning, I have my morning walk. These kind of things are routines, and it doesn't matter where I am, I have them. But there's one thing that I realized, and it was yesterday actually. We just moved into a new apartment here in Guatemala, and they have a funny thing here with the taps. So one time the tap goes like this, and now we are in a new apartment and the tap goes the other way around. And I said to my husband, this is really interesting. This is really keeping us sharp somehow, I think, and tired, because every time, those things that you don't think about normally, where your toothbrush is, where the toilet door is in the middle of the night, how you open the tap, all those things, we need to think about them every time, because every time they're in a different place, a different location, different way. And we're making already so many decisions throughout the day, right? And these are on top of it. So we're really conscious about having also routines in place that are always the same, even though we're moving the whole time. And but also giving us the space, like, oh, we've been lacking a little bit on this and this month. So, hey, we're moving. Let's make sure that this is one of our new habits that we're creating, at least in this next country. And then if it's something that is aligned with us, we keep it for the next country, of course. But so it's also helping that shift. Another thing that came up for me when you were asking that question, like, what is one of the lessons you learned? And now I forgot it. Maybe it comes back in a bit.
I'm sure there's many, and as you say, right, things change also for you. Maybe what was the most important thing for you that many years ago is maybe today something different.
Yeah, and I want to have the freedom to be able to jump with that and play with that.
Now, you mentioned briefly that you had it all according to society. Are you often asked about, how you live? Do you feel you need to explain how you live and why you live? Or maybe has that changed also from back then to now? Do you see that differently, or do people see it differently in general? Or is this still a bit like, okay, what is she doing?
Interesting. Yeah, I think a lot of people still don't understand. I think my parents still think that I sleep underneath a bridge every night. I think my friends still think that I'm on the run for something, or that I didn't have it figured out. Now, there's a lot. And I must say, I've never been, the digital nomads nowadays, they're really talking and expressing themselves about this on Instagram, on social media. I've never really been doing that, especially because that was not a thing in that time. I mean, when I left 12 years ago, I went to Paris. Quickly after Paris, I decided I don't want to go back to the Netherlands. I really like my new me and figuring myself out. And I moved to China. And like in China, I remember things. I was just sharing that with a friend last weekend. I, on the computer, found the town that I wanted to go with the train. I Googled it, took a picture of the symbols, and then I went, not with my phone, with my camera. I mean, I had no smartphone in that time. Went with my camera to the train station, showed them the camera with the city on it, and I got a train ticket. So sitting there in the train, hearing I have no clue, there's no map, there's nothing. And sitting in the train waiting for the for the town to be announced. And at one time I thought, oh, this might be the town, but nobody to ask. I was traveling alone. I was going to remote places, and especially in China, I love to be off grid and going to those like faraway towns. And then I stepped out, and I remember I stepped out of the train and I looked at the sign and I was like, that's not the same. And I wanted to turn around, and the train drove away, and it was 11 p.m. at that moment. And there was nothing in that town. And the two other people who went out, they left the train station through the land, the grass, and they walked somewhere. I could not even see a house. So that was my first night on the train station, sleeping in China. But these experiences are all the things that you would not have nowadays anymore with Google Maps, with connections. You know exactly where you're going to be at what place. And I think this really helped me also to discover, like, okay, building resilience, figuring out how I'm going to deal with this now. There's nobody who could help me. I could not call anybody. There was no internet connection. There was nothing. I could not speak Chinese, even though I learned some Shanghainese where I was living in that time, but I could not manage with that. And you're finding your way. And I think that really gave me the trust as well. Yeah, maybe that's also one of the things that I've learned. Like, it always works out somehow.Maybe not the way you wanted it, but there's always a way. And I think I've learned it through those moments, like being in a bus, breaks down. All people call their family and their friends, being picked up, and I'm standing there and thinking, like, okay, what am I going to do? I need to create a plan for myself, and building this muscle of resilience and figuring things out. And now in this world, it's so much easier. Well, I sound really old like that.
Oh, no.
Back in the days. No, but now it's so much easier. Like, we don't encounter these problems anymore. And the worst thing that can happen is last time we entered in an apartment and we didn't know that there was not a proper kitchen, for example, and we like to cook. So that's the biggest issue you come across, which is not an issue at all. And it's so different. And yeah, these are all the things that I've never really talked about. I've not took pictures and posted it on Instagram and told people my story. There are so many things that I've experienced in the past 12 years that I've never put out somewhere. And it's just my memory. And I think that makes it hard for people to understand what my life looks like and what I'm doing. And then also the other part of the nomadic lifestyle is that I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I'm running multiple businesses. This is also something that a lot of people cannot comprehend. First of all, like not being an employee, how do you make your money? But then second of all, whoa, you have not one business, but multiple. How do you do that? And you travel the whole time. And then it's getting so difficult to comprehend. And then it's just like, okay, you're good, you're happy, okay. And then the conversation stops because it's just not understandable. And that's fine. I totally understand that. And this is why I said in the beginning, like, I'm really happy the last 7 years to have been traveling with my husband. So the first 5 years I did alone. And the first 5 years, I was in a different place in the sense of like really discovering myself. So I met a lot of people, which taught me a lot of things about myself, about relationships, about communication. And now having this phase with my husband, that we have each other and we share the experience. So we don't have really that need to talk about this with the world because we share it together. Yeah, makes it again hard for people to understand what's going on. Yeah. But then the moments that we meet other couples who are in our situation are people who are traveling for years alone. There's an innate connection, and we don't talk about our work. We're talking about like deeper things. And I really love that. And these are now the connections that and the relationships we really move towards. And I think that's a really healthy way of finding yourself and which path you are in your life.
Nice. And I was wondering actually about friendship and connection in general, as you're moving. So I know also that has changed over the past years, with the digital tools and possibilities, we have to stay in touch and connect with people. But still, at the same time, I think, especially now hearing that you spend a lot of time in nature as well, you wouldn't want to constantly be online talking to friends and stuff. And even more so probably if the business is also mostly online, as I understand. So how do you stay in touch with people, and do you stay in touch at all? I mean, is that a need you have, a longing, or or are you more like, yeah, people come and go, you know? What is it for you?
Yeah, that is a bit what I've experienced in the past couple of years, is that like there are phases in your life that you have certain people in your life, and then if you move to a next phase or they move to a next phase, it's automatically just outgrowing each other, which is perfectly fine. And I think in the beginning years, I was really holding onto those older relationships that I had. But what I then realized is that I hold on to that, but I also hold on to an old aspect of mine with certain expectations from them to me and from me to them, which if I want to let that go, this whole journey has been about letting go, like letting go of who people think I am, letting go of who I think I am, and really going into who am I really. And where did I wanted to take this to? Well, but so yeah, friendship. So it's really been I now trust the people that I've met, some of them crossing my path again, some not, and that's okay. But I trust the people who need to be in my life, and who I need to be in their life. We're fine. That whenever they need me or whenever I need them, I'm going to be able to call them, and we don't need to have a catch-up call every week to have a strong relationship. I believe a relationship and connections are made on a deeper level than knowing exactly what you do next weekend, right?
Yeah.
And I think I've been way much easier with that in the past couple of years by saying like, okay, it's fine. And then like having a great time with a person. Like we spent in Mexico, I had 2 months with a girl that I considered that was my best friend, and also for her. And then we split parts, and I think we haven't spoken in 2 months now, which is fine. I and for her too. So I think that's a healthy way of having a relationship, I think, as in this way of living that I do.
And how does that maybe connect to the businesses you run? I believe, but correct me if I'm wrong, that maybe at the beginning of you living with a nomadic lifestyle, you may have worked more still with people, like physically meeting them or being around them for some time. And maybe now it's more digital. Is that true? And I mean, is it right to say that your lifestyle has influenced the businesses you run, or is it maybe the other way around? Where is there a connection? Or,
Oh, I like that. Yes, good questions. I love that. Well, yeah, I think it's influencing both of them, but yeah, it does makes me feel everything comes back to this, like, does it feel aligned? Because if it's feeling aligned, it's effort, but it's not hard work. You know, and this is with relationship, this is with my businesses, this is with my nomadic life. Like I said, if it feels hard to be in this place right now, we need to move. It's not healthy. And we have this opportunity and possibility to do that. We have the luxury to be able to do that. And then why would you keep yourself stuck? And that's the same with businesses. Like in the beginning, the first first 5 years, no, first 7 years of my nomadic life, I was still working in international schools. So I was working on location. I was stuck for, I say stuck, I was stuck for a year on a certain city. I've lived in Indonesia. Everybody loves Indonesia, but I was stuck in Jakarta. So that's not really the best place to be in Indonesia with all the beautiful islands there. But because my job was there, so that was also like in the weekends going travel, and then during the week coming back and working. And that was at one moment that was starting to bother me. Like, why am I stuck? I have all this freedom that I created and I'm still stuck. And this is how I started like figuring out some entrepreneurial things, starting 1 or 2 business on the side. And when that started going up, and then reducing my working hours in the school a bit, and then slowly it took over. And that was a moment I was like, let's take the plunge. Let's quit the international teaching job. Yeah, but that was really confusing for me because yeah, in a way, yes. But on the other hand, somehow we attach our identity to certain things or certain people. And for me, I attached my identity to being a teacher. I've been a teacher for the last 15 years. I would still stay, even though I'm not teaching anymore. I still would say I'm a teacher because that's how I prepare myself for life, kind of, to do that. And this is something I identify myself with. And it's really funny because when you then suddenly stop it's like, yeah, you reinvent yourself again. And I think this is a process that is really healthy to go through. And we're being pushed as nomads to do that even more, because you're reinventing yourself every time. In every country, you're the same, but you're a bit different, because there's different energy, there are different people around you, different environment. And yeah, which, like I said, I think it's really healthy. At least for me, it is. I need that change. I need the novelty to keep me feeling inspired and energized and happy.
Yeah, and I think I mean, we all also need that, let me call it adventure now. You said change, or, breaking out, breaking free. And that's sometimes what I think happens for people who are more sedentary, because there's a lot of people that I also know that feel they're stuck, right? And this stuckness comes from maybe too much routine and not enough of the adventure part. And you find a way to balance that out and really find something that works for you. So, do you often learn the language also, or maybe over time, have you learned languages that help you also, or is it mostly English that you use in?
No, right here it's mostly Spanish that we're speaking. And even if we are with a group of friends, because we both speak Spanish, we would speak Spanish to each other, because otherwise we feel like we're leaving people out.
Yeah.
No, that's really important to me. Always a guest in a country, and I'm really respecting their culture, their language, and it's my job to adapt to them and not their job to try to adapt to me. Even though most of the countries most of the countries we travel, the people are so sweet and loving and generous, and they want to help us and they want to try to. But I feel it's my responsibility to understand their culture. And yeah, learning a language is part of that. And I have a lot of languages in my pocket right now, which is beautiful. Some of them are a little bit rusty, like my Nepali is a little bit rusty. I would not dare to speak right now, but it's an important part for me of the whole nomadic lifestyle. It's not like, hey, we come here and that's something that I realized. We lived in Nepal for a while. We wanted to settle down there for a bit. I started some educational projects there. And I never have this intention like, oh, I'm coming in and I'm going to change here because I have more education, more knowledge, more experience. I know how to change the educational system or whatever. Even though on paper maybe I do have, but this is not the right mentality to jump into a country like that. So I'm always backing off until people start figuring it out or asking. And this is how I ended up in Nepal. Also there, helping building a school, but not just a school location, but like the science lab, organizing the budgets, everything they had. The school director, once he figured out that I'm in the educational system, he wanted me in the team, in the meetings. And well, that's pushing your Nepali as well, because you want to be part of it. If you want to be part of it, you have to be part of it. And and I think this has helped me during my travels a lot, like being humble of their needs and their processes and their situation. I mean, I call myself super lucky to have been and blessed to have been grown up in a country like the Netherlands, being raised by a loving family, having always had great friends around me, having the education that I needed to move forward in life, and now being able to live a created life and not by default. I mean, that's a luxury. A lot of people don't have that, and I'm really aware of that. And I think that's also something that this whole traveling nomadic lifestyle has taught me, is to see all these different perspectives from all these different cultures and people. And my husband and I say a lot of times, like, when we're passing somebody on the street who is not as fortunate as we are, like, we're lucky. And it has nothing to do denigrating them. It has us to realize we are lucky. We have all of this that a lot of people don't have, and we're really we're really mindful of that.
It's really,
and I think that helps us.
Inspiring and beautiful what you explain and describe. I think there's also this factor or aspect of patience around it when you say how you get to know a culture and its people, right? It's not necessarily just coming in and exploring everything, but really finding out. And I could imagine that, I mean, you mentioned how well you got to know yourself, that this helps build self-confidence and trust in yourself, and that you will always figure it out in some way, but then also trust in human beings in general, right? Because as you
Yeah.
said, there's so many people who just want the best for themselves and everyone. So and to experience that over and over again, yeah, can create a really good feeling and trust and hope for life in general.
Yeah, that's beautiful what you say, because that's actually how we moved towards our travel as well. In the beginning, it was a bit like seeing the highlights of the country, next place, next place. And it's not like that anymore. It's like going to a certain energy, and like there are beautiful volcanoes here. We haven't hiked them yet. We're really being with the locals and trying to understand what's going on here. And that is way much more important to us than checking off boxes. And I think this is something that naturally happens after you travel such a long time. You get spoiled, first of all, with so many beautiful things that you're seeing, but also you see that it's about experiences, and it's about connection. Everything comes back to connection, I feel. If you don't have a connection with another human being, life is really dull. And this is something that we all craving for, and most of us can find it in our friends or in our family, and we really find that with people all over the world. And yeah, that's beautiful.
Very nice. What would you give as a piece of advice to someone that now maybe listening to you feels like, I want to try that as well? Is there anything you would want to give as an advice to start with?
Yeah, I would just say, just do it. Just do it, just try it, and you can go all in and leave everything behind, unregister yourself from the country, and do like the extreme version, or you just go for a 2-week trip somewhere by yourself and see if this is really something that feels good. Because sometimes it can sound nice. It's not only butterflies, and I don't know what the expression is, but I mean, there are also days that we're exhausted of booking another place, finding again accommodation and another transport, and the bus didn't show up, and there are days like that as well. But I feel like we choose our problems,
Yeah.
and we choose problems that we want to deal with, and those are the problems we want to deal with. And so I would just say, just try, and know that if it's not for you, if it doesn't work out, you can always come back. I mean, if you don't try, you don't know, right?
And that takes
And
us, yeah, you don't know
yeah,
exactly. And that takes us back to what you said in the beginning, right? You had that thought at some point, like, I can
yeah,
always go back. So,
yes.
so yeah, we've come round, and yeah, thank you for this beautiful and open and deep conversation.
Thank you for having me.
You, and I wish you a very nice rest of the day in Guatemala.
Thank you so much.
Next
Thank you
time.
for having me. I loved it.
I'm glad.
Bye.
Thanks, Rianna. Bye. Take care.